Welcome back. If you're new, you can have me scuttling around inside your skull by subscribing. Click the bell notification and you won't miss anything. Here's a few of your comments that arrived over the past couple of days. Congratulations to the YouTube channel Don't Turn Around for reaching the 200,000 subscriber milestone. They sent out the following tweet. One of my favourite stories that I wrote was just narrated by the clown. One day I hope to turn it into a movie. To see why the clown is my new favourite narrator, check it out. And you'll see why I'm such a fan of his in the first 5 minutes. Wow, thank you so much, Don't Turn Around, it was my pleasure. Their story that I narrated is called Legend of the Slayer, so make sure you check it out if you haven't already. And this comment came from All Mad Around Here. Out of all my horror subscriptions, I have so many and I get a ton of channel updates a day. I don't watch them until sometimes weeks later. But you are my #1 favourite YouTuber. And I always watch yours as soon as I can. Your voice is perfect for this type of stuff. You actually give me the creeps with your narrating. Like some other YouTubers, you actually appreciate and take notice of your fans. Even take the time to talk to some of us. And for that, thank you. You deserve so much more attention and appreciation than you have. Keep it up. All Mad Around Here. How can I respond to that apart from thank you so much? Incredibly encouraging and incredibly supportive. I'm going to have to come round to your home and thank you in person. And when I do, try not to scream. And I got a nice message from Charlotte Field. She says, wow, you're different to the other guys. I listen to a lot of narrators and you stand out. I heard you on the top 15 scariest stories and thought you were fab and thought I would come over and check you out. Great stuff. Looking forward to future uploads. Welcome to my channel, Charlotte, and thanks for that. Now go into your bathroom and look into the mirror. And when you see me standing behind you, say, hello, clown. Now it's time for my latest video. Terrifying Unsolved Mysteries. Some say this is the most horrific unsolved mystery ever. Way back in 1958, a group of Russian students, 8 men and 2 women, all experienced hikers, set off to reach a remote mountain. They were all well trained in winter survival techniques. The goal of the 14-day expedition was to reach a mountain called Otorten. From January the 23rd to the 27th, the group travelled by train and bus and truck to the starting point, and on the 28th they started their march towards the mountain. And on that day, suddenly one of them fell sick and safely managed to return home. So now there's a group of 9 student skiers, and on February the 1st they travelled just 2.5 miles that day. They all set up camp just 10 miles from Mount Otorten. They had dinner around 6 to 7 p.m. Then something went catastrophically wrong. Something terrifying. The students' relatives were expecting a telegram from the group telling them the expedition was a success and everyone has returned safely. That telegram was expected to arrive no later than the 12th of February, but no reassuring message came. Delays of a few days were common with expeditions like this, however, something didn't seem right. So the relatives of the travellers demanded a rescue operation. The first group consisted of volunteer students and teachers. Then later, on the 20th of February, the police and army got involved. So planes and helicopters joined the search and rescue operation. Initially, none of the students could be found. Then when 6 days of searching passed by, on the 26th of February, searchers managed to locate the hiker's tent. It was torn down, covered in snow. All the group's belongings were inside, including their shoes. Investigators confirmed the tent had been cut open from the inside. You heard that right. The tent had been cut open from the inside, and that all 9 skiers ran away wearing just socks and one of them had run off with just bare feet. There was a chain of footprints. The prints led to an area 500 meters away to the edge of a nearby forest where 2 dead bodies were discovered, dressed only in their underwear and no shoes. They were found under a large old cedar tree. This tree had broken branches, which suggested perhaps the skiers were trying to look at something, maybe their camp. Forensic tests later confirmed that traces of their skin was embedded in the tree's bark, indicating the pair had frantically attempted to climb the tree, snapping off branches until their hands became raw flesh. They were actually trying to run away from something. The next day, on the 27th of February, another 300 meters away from the old cedar tree, another body was found. Then another was found about 630 meters from the tree. And then 6 days later, another body was discovered 480 meters away from the cedar tree. All these 3 students seemed to have died in poses that suggested they were all attempting to return to their tent. No injuries were found. So it was concluded that the 3 young people died of hypothermia. So 5 bodies were discovered. It then took more than another 2 months to locate the remaining travellers. The 4 remaining bodies were found under 4 feet of snow 75 meters from the cedar tree. Their location was deeper into the woods. These 4 were dressed better than the others. It's possible those that died first had their clothes removed to help the rest survive. Examination of these 4 bodies in that May of 1958 took the investigation onto another mysterious level. 3 of the bodies had fatal injuries. 1 had major skull damage, another 2 had chest fractures, and 1 had no tongue, and her eyes were missing. The force required to cause such damage to 2 of their chests would be like a force from a car crash. Now listen to me carefully. A doctor stated that these fatal injuries of 3 bodies could not have been caused by another human being. You see, the bodies had no external wounds to indicate extreme pressure like an avalanche, and there was absolutely no indication of any avalanche taking place anyway. In fact, the ground area they camped in wasn't steep or overlooked by higher snow-covered ground. The group clearly realised their threats and did everything they could to survive. They managed to dig out and make a den in the snow to keep themselves warm. What's even more bizarre, these 4 bodies were not found in their improvised shelter. They were actually found a few feet away from it. Some of the hikers' clothing were found to be radioactive. Also, some clothes taken from the first discovered 2 bodies beneath the cedar tree were not used. They were placed on the remaining cedar tree branches. Think about it. There was no sign of a fight, no external injuries. The hikers abandoned all their valuable resources. All these years later, this mystery is still unsolved. No one survived. No other person was found guilty. In fact, no one else was in the area at the time of this tragedy. What got my attention about this horrific and bizarre event is that it's a true account that seems to have been swept under the media carpet. You don't hear about it anymore. Yet there's something incredibly sinister and unfinished about this horrific mystery. You see, the inquest into what happened closed in May 1959. The verdict at the time was the group of students died because of a compelling natural force. Saying a compelling natural force sounds like they had no idea what caused their deaths. It's weird that the inquest files were stored in a secret archive, and photocopies of the case became available only in the 1990s, and parts of the file were missing. There's so many theories about what happened on that evening of February the 1st, 1958, so I've hand-picked just a few of them. One stupid theory is that a Russian Yeti attacked them, but that idea was shot down in flames because there wasn't any animal tracks found, and the group would not have abandoned the relative security of their tent. There's a theory that suggests lightning or a fireball from the sky killed them all. Some think maybe local tribesmen attacked them, but the local tribesmen were known to be peaceful and there was no evidence of anyone approaching the tent. There's a theory that it was down to high winds. Winds strong enough to blow away people with such force would have also blown away the tent. Their tent had not moved from its original position. This next theory is very strange, but supporters of this idea claim it can account for the bizarre situation in which the student skiers' bodies were found. Due to the shape of the mountains, high winds resonating produced panic-inducing waves of infrasound. These sound waves are too low to actually hear, but could have affected the minds of the skiers, panicking them and causing them to rush recklessly out of their tent and into the snow where the cold killed them. That theory sounds a bit far out, but studies suggest that infrasound, sound waves too low for humans to hear, can produce feelings of unease or even terror, which cannot be explained any other way. Another theory is that some believe it was a military accident that was covered up. You know what? After all the research I've personally done preparing this video for you, I'm still not convinced by any of the theories I've just mentioned. However, there's two other possibilities that have remained inside my skull, because I think one of them might give an indication to what really happened. Now, various witnesses came forward to confirm this. Some hikers who were 30 miles away from the 9 students said they saw orange spheres in the sky that evening at the time of the tragedy. These sightings were not included in the initial investigation. So what the hell happened? Well, a police officer who led the official inquest in 1959 revealed in an article published in 1990 that the investigation team had no rational explanation for the accident. This police officer also stated that after his team reported that they had seen flying spheres, he then received direct orders from high-ranking regional officials to dismiss this claim. Now, you know what I found out today? In 2015, hikers took video proof of the lights they saw in the same area in daylight. Now, there's one other idea that could have happened that night. Remember, the tent had been cut open from the inside. So if they cut open from the inside, they were in a rush to escape. There had to be something or someone dangerous inside their tent. Maybe, just maybe, one of the students' personality dramatically changed and they became absolutely insane. And using a knife, they started slicing up the tent while everyone else just made a run for it. Or maybe they had all been deliberately poisoned. I want to know what you think happened to the skiers that cold night in February 1958. If you enjoy listening to my voice, watch another video right now. And remember to subscribe. Leave me a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts. And one of you listening right now is going to have me knock on your window in 4, 3, 2,